I'm Maggie. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist with degrees in psychology, theology, and marriage and family therapy, a national certification in dialectical behavioral therapy, and a national certification in integrative mental health. In this video, I'm not looking to diagnose anyone. I'm only willing to offer insight into situations like these. Maggie Thompson is presenting the work titled The Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch, written by J.J. Hurtak. Maggie Thompson is not validating nor supporting Hurtak's views, epiphanies, visions, beliefs, or words. Maggie Thompson is simply presenting the work as written and is attempting to translate this extraordinarily esoteric work to a common vernacular and understanding. Further, Maggie Thompson understands this work to be solely concerning the Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and while Hurtak views his work to be the key or keys to uniting all the world's people under one religion, namely Abrahamic, Maggie Thompson does not support this premise whole cloth. However, this work does give depth and insight into the connection of physics, cosmology, biology, and spirituality, which, for the seeker of divine truth, can be invaluable for the discovery of one's place in the universe, and that may be under the hierarchy of Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, or a hierarchy that exists above or beside such deities, or none altogether. Maggie Thompson implores all seekers of knowledge to, letter A, not accept what a person of authority tells you without validation. This includes looking at critiques and the opposing views with an open mind. Letter B, accept that religion, as well as science and politics, is presented as a means of indoctrination and is always presented with the biases of the overall field or system, the authors of texts, and the presenter, whose goals are to convince you of the, quote, truth, end quote, of their premise or premises. Letter C. It is possible to take insight, truths, and information from a biased work. Any body of work for the purpose of deeper meaning and knowledge must be carefully excavated and carved to glean wisdom. And letter D. No work or bodies of work that is believed by a large group or populace of people should be dismissed out of hand simply because you do not believe it. We live in a diverse time where religious belief takes center stage in the governing of the collected masses. To truly understand the barriers and gateways to your personal success and fulfillment, you must accept that believers of any kind can and will do what is necessary to meet their goals.
Hello, hello. Yes, Auntie, you're a princess. All right, we're going to talk about key 2-1-0 in the Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hurtak. This is pages 261 to 267. Look how far we've come. Isn't it amazing? But before we get into it, let's say hello to some people. Adric is first. He says it's on, and he has crown number 2. I didn't do these. YouTube did them. So that's pretty awesome. Auntie's here. Hi with the peace sign. My favorite auntie. She has crown number 1. Adric says hashtag pivot point Wednesday. Adrian is here tied for number 2 crown and says, let's go. Armando's here with the peace sign. He has crown number 3. Auntie is a princess. And Armando says, am I tripping or is there more disclaimers? The Enoch There are a lot of disclaimers for Enoch. There's a lot. And you may be tripping. I don't know. Oh, Armando got number one. Apparently, it's whoever is messaging the most gets the crowns. That's kind of what it looks like. Interesting. We'll see. I can see it over here on my phone, but I can't see it on StreamYard. So, all right. Well, for those of you watching from the clouds, you can feel free to say hello. This is the best live tribe on YouTube. You will be welcomed in. And shout out to the replay gang. All right, so let's get into it. The key that JJ Hurtak says is the keys to the, quote, true Israel, end quote, are to be found in, quote, the children of light, end quote, a remnant people in all nations, for they are all receptacles for the flame of Yahweh. Whosoever will carry the flame of Yahweh will live in a field of glory and of light, and they will be a people of people with, quote, energies of great rushing, end quote, upraising themselves to the, quote, sons of light, end quote, and the great white brotherhood. Man, he says the great white brotherhood over and over and over and over and over in this key. It's crazy trains. Adrian says, well, congrats on the ground. Okay, well, I mean, all you got to see now, you're still at number 2. So all you have to do is keep commenting. And for those of you, again, watching from the clouds, get in here on this crowns. You want to be a princess or a king? Let's do it. So we're going to use multiple concepts, including Disney's TVA from the Loki series, to make JJ Hurtak's extremely and excessively esoteric work into something a little not so teric. I'll be critiquing his premises as well as offering some guidance, because it's become clear that this work is the pinnacle of the crossroads of Christian dispensationalism and Jewish mysticism. This is if Christian dispensationalism and Jewish mysticism had a baby, it's the keys of Enoch. Armando says he's not going to hold number 1. Y'all are shout out to the big brains. Listen, JJ Hurtak is difficult. Man, is he difficult. So the interesting thing, though, is that this key focuses on the true Israel, is what he's calling it, the true Israel. Okay. Now, the full reading of this key is available on this channel under the videos tab. So you can check that out before, after. You can stop it now, go listen. You can listen to it after. It doesn't matter. It's totally up to you if you want to hear the full keys the way that JJ Hurtak says it. Because then you can critique what I'm saying or offer me more information. You know, we're all trying to learn here. We're all discovering the universe together, right? So again, anybody new? Notes, tons of notes in the notebook, tons and tons and tons. This is what I do. I sit and research these things for hours to make sure, sorry, I'm giving you the good information. Okay, so let's go through and read some of the highlights. You go, Adrian. Oh, look, he's number 1. Auntie, he took it from you. Okay, so let's look at some highlights. All right, verse 1. This key of Paradise Sun creation tells us that the higher evolution is coded within the people who are known as the, quote, true Israel. This Israel is not physical, historical, or ethnic. It is the Israel of all vibratory levels of light. Levels of light energy used in the programming of human consciousness. Well, here's where Maggie goes off. It's not physical, it's not historical, it's not ethnic. Oh, so you just get to claim it. Because that seems to be what happens. And just, oh yeah, I'm Israel. I'm Jewish. I'm ish, right? I'm Hebrew. I'm, it's me. I'm this thing, this is who I am. It's mine now. That's how it works, right? You can just do what you want. Auntie's going to pull rank on Adrian. Okay. So, all right. So here it is. He's saying the true Israel is not physical. This is not the children of Shem then, because that is physical, right? That's DNA. That is physical, right? So this is not the children of Shem, the true Israel, screw them. We would call the Shemites or the Semites, right? This is not the sons of Eber, right? Which is where we get the term Hebrews from Eber, right? Who is in Shem's line, okay? The sons of Eber, the Hebrews, were the ones enslaved by Pharaoh. They were the ones attacked by the Judean Jews because Judeans wanted to split off, right? The Hebrews were the ones who were dispersed, the tribes that were lost, because the Judeans wanted to go off on their own, right? See, he says it's not historical. So it's not that either, right? It's not the tribes who got lost because the Judeans wanted to do specific things, right? So it's not historical either. It's not physical. So it's not the line of Shem. It's not the Semites. It's not the line of Eber. It's not the Hebrews. It's not the 10 tribes who got lost because of the Judean and the Levites. That's the other two, by the way. That's the two because it was 12 tribes, right? But the Levites just did whatever the Judeans wanted. So it's not historical. It's not the 10 tribes who were consistently conquered and oppressed. It's not those 10 tribes, It's not the tribes that were targeted for the transatlantic slave trade. No, it's not those. It's not those tribes of Israel, right? Because it's not historical. It's not ethnic, right? It's not ethnic. It's not the people who kept the faith of Israel in Africa in an unbroken lineage. See, it's not ethnicity, right? It's not the dispersed who kept the soul in everything that they do, who continued healing and educating every time they were conquered and oppressed, right? Who were the great prophets and the rebels fighting for humanity, who have an innate urge towards justice, fairness, and equity, who maintain a love relationship with the earth, with the sky, with the sun, with the stars, and with the moon. It's not the people, though lost, sold into slavery, traumatized, abused, oppressed, killed, demeaned, lied on, and used for their labor and talents, but somehow continue to rise, to be resilient, to put soul in food, in speech, in music, in art, in dance, in athletics, etc., etc., etc. No, but it's not ethnic either, right? Her talk says the true Israel is the great white brotherhood. Because it's not ethnic, it's not historical, and it's not physical. It's because we want to be that. That's it. That's it. So I'm going to break down the Great White Brotherhood 2 more ways. I've broken it down once. Hold on before I do that. Oh, good. Armando learned something from Adrian. I'm going to have to see who's got the crowns right now. All right, so let's talk about the Great White Brotherhood. Okay, so 2 more ways. I already broke down how her talk sees it, right? The Great White Hope. That's how he's always referencing it, the Great White Hope. You can hear it in his keys and you can definitely see it in the imagery that he uses. It's always as they're ascending, they're either white people or phenotypically white people, but they may be yellow or pink or purple, but they have long flowing blonde hair and things like that. So you can definitely see it in his imagery, right? So let's look at the other 2 tribes, right? The Judeans and the Levites, because that's the Great White Hope, right? The ones not lost, the ones that were never lost, the Judeans. And then we'll look at who her talk associates himself with. Okay, so the Judeans. And I wrote a little note here to tell people, feel free to clip this if you want to. But any of my videos, y'all can clip it, save it, do whatever you want with it, do your thing. All right, the Judeans. At baseline, Remember that the Neanderthals were heavily concentrated around the Caucasus Mountains, right? That's archaeology. Then, when they called themselves the Goths, they established their empire in the same exact place, the Caucasus Mountains, the Ukrainian steppe, and centered around Kiev. Okay, same place. This is also the same exact place that the Khazarian Empire rose and was abandoned. It didn't fall, it was abandoned. Okay, this is a motherland for these folks. Keep that in mind while we talk about the Jews from Judea. Okay, so number one, in 586 BCE, before the Common Era, Nebuchadnezzar II deported, we like deporting, right? Deported the elite, priestly, and royal Judeans to Babylon, which is Iraq today, okay? The rest, the common people, right? Not the priests, not the royal, not the elites. All the people, the regular people, fled to Moab, Edom, Egypt, Anatolia, and through Assyrian territory into the Caucasus. Why is it always the Caucasus? But I've talked about this before, and why white people want to use the term Caucasian. And it's this. Okay, so we have the Judeans who are mixing with whom? The Neanderthal, Goth, Khazarian. Oh, I see balloons on my end. I don't know if you guys are going to see it or not. Oh, yeah, you do. All right, so number two, Judean mercenary groups in Egypt and Asia Minor had established escape routes, right? Because they were mercenaries, okay? Judean mercenaries, terrorists. This is what they do. They were mercenaries for hire. That's who the Shasu were. That's who the Israelites were, right? So the Judean mercenary groups in Egypt and Asia Minor had established escape routes, okay? To where, you might ask? To Cappadocia and Pontus. Where is that? That same area. It's the same exact area. That's where their escape routes went to. Why? Motherland, okay? Number three, in 70 CE, they call it the destruction of the temple. So they talk about the destruction of the temple. So during the destruction of the temple and the Bar Kokhba revolt in 135 CE, so 135 of the Common Era, Judeans were exiled or fled. Okay, most settled in Sardis, Ephesus, Pontus, brought that up before, Crimea, the Black Sea region, that same Caucasus Mountain Ukrainian steppe area. The same, when they fled and they needed a safe place to go, where are you always going to go? Home to mother, to the motherland. Then they were absorbed by the Caucasus Volga, the Khazarians. Okay, so look, the Caucasus Mountain region was a place that the Judeans chose to consistently return to. It was the place their escape routes went to. It was where they were deported to. Everybody knew that the Gothic Neanderthal homeland was the original homeland of the Judean tribe. Now, I do hear and I watch shows about people who say the original Judeans, not the other 10 tribes per se, the original Judeans were Central African Black. I'm just saying, based on the information that I have, it appears to me as if that Judean Levite people were the Neanderthal people. If they weren't in the beginning, they sure did mix in really fast, which is kind of their play anyway, because then the Khazarian elites went and mixed in with European nobles, where there was another hotbed of Gothic Neanderthals. So could be they just mixed in. Who, I don't know. And none of us were there. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying this is what I'm seeing off of what I have. Okay. So here's an interesting puzzle. This is a puzzle, so help me with this. The Cohen model haplotype. So this is DNA, okay, haplotypes. This is your lineage. The Cohen model haplotype has been found among the Caucasus Mountain Jews, the Kurdish Jews, and the Ashkenazi elite, meaning a common paternal ancestor. Okay, so it's the Caucasus Mountain Jews, the Kurdish Jews, and the Ashkenazi Jews all have the same paternal ancestor. Tell me again how the Ashkenazi didn't come from there. They have the same DNA, people. Okay, but oddly, the Semitic Shem's line, Shem, Semites, Shemites, okay? The Semitic DNA markers are not in Ashkenazi Jews. It's a real mystery. And we may never get the answer since DNA testing is not allowed in Israel. Interesting. Okay, so to get a better grasp on Hertog's idea of the Great White Brotherhood, I'm saying who I think he thinks it is. You know, this Neanderthalic Judean hybrid mix of Great White Hope. But to get a better grasp on Hertog's idea of the Great White Brotherhood, let's look at who he associates with. Because we haven't really deep dived into Hertog himself. But I think the way to know who he thinks the Great White Hope and the Great White Brotherhood is to look and see who he associates with. So it's an interesting exploration. He is an honorary member of the Zavante Nation in Mato Grosso, Brazil. He's the founder and president of the Academy for Future Sciences, the AFFS. He's been a presenter at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, the IONS. He's a speaker at Parliament of World Religions. He's been a speaker at the UN in 2002, 2007, and 2012 on climate and sustainable development. He has published papers in the American Astronautical Society and the Mars Society. He is a scientific consultant for Sidney Sheldon's novel, The Doomsday Conspiracy. He had a founding role in the Committee for Spiritual Values and Global Concerns based in New York. Hertog moves comfortably within these UN forums, right? These world affairs, right? Global this, United Nations. He moves comfortably within these UN forums, these interfaith think tanks and technological summits. That's where he's a speaker at. His Academy for Future Science operates as a spiritual scientific NGO. That's what he does. Okay. So it's like spiritual globalist messaging. End of the day, he's a Christian Zionist, right? Because it's New World Order. That's what he's always pushing for, is this globalist, technocratic, it's like a techno-spiritual thing that he is pushing for globally, right? That's why he says it's all of the Abrahamic religions and all the other belief systems have to be absorbed into it or, you know, get zapped and make your soul wiggly, right? So he's a Christian Zionist, right? A dispensationalist, that's what I've been saying, because it's globalism, techno-spiritual globalism. He heavily emphasizes Israel as a spiritual and geopolitical nexus. He promotes Judeo-Christian unity while completely disregarding African, indigenous, and Eastern traditions as secondary or needing to be grafted into the superior Judeo-Christian theology. His framework is identical to Christian Zionism. Jesus is the Messiah, Israel is the divine focal point, and eschatology that ends in global unity under Abrahamic order. That's exactly Christian Zionism. That's why I say, I think he's given us these keys. I think he's giving us the keys to dispensationalism and what they're trying to push for. He supports the New World Order. He has said so himself. He speaks of the need for a planetary hierarchy, oversight councils, and a great white brotherhood. Adrian says, I don't think it was abandoned. I just think folks started saying, Khazarians? Who, me? Never heard of them. Who, me? I'm a duchy in Europe, in Germany. Yeah. Armando says, yeah, Mr. Hertog, who are you with? Yeah, he stepped into dominionism. Yep. His stuff would probably go beautifully with Seven Mountains. Hi, Eddie. Thanks for being here. Who said I made it into a video game? Oh, Adrian. Yeah. Where are the Adrian's got the #1 crown. Armando's #2. Got to keep commenting to get it. I didn't make it, but I like it. It's cute. So he supports, and this is his imagery and his words. And he's been accused of this and says, I'm not racist. But this is the stuff he says, right? So he supports white Christian male supremacy. That's what he supports, right? He supports Mormonism, which is all about that. He says that's sacred scriptures. His illustrations are completely whitewashed. They're all white. Divine order and wisdom come from glowing white males, and we are all just lacking peasants, especially if you're female. He believes the Abrahamic faith to be the highest evolution of humanity. That is what he is pressing for. Okay, Auntie's back in it. All right. So this book, as well as many organized religions, just as a whole, especially the Abrahamic ones, seduces spiritual seekers. People who are looking for divine truth, people who are into spiritualism and they're trying to find the truth and they're trying to figure out what to believe in and who they are at their base and what is the divine spark and the creator, and they're looking for these things. This book and organized Abrahamic religions seduce spiritual seekers with cosmic truths and all the buzzwords, right? We say all the buzzwords, right? While quietly embedding elitist hierarchies, racial, spiritual supremacy, and the primacy of one religious system as the answer to everything, as the answer to spirituality, governance, and control. This is technocratic spirituality, preparing minds for top-down salvation through global governance. Top-down. It's like, what do they call that? The trickle-down economics. This is trickle-down spirituality, trickle-down salvation. Works like Hertog's Keys are like manifestos for the structure of the New World Order's dogmatic religion. This is going to be the new dogmatic religion. It tells you the technologies and terminologies that they plan to sanctify. They've already started it with a certain group of people. The works reveal not only what the playbook is, but a more in-depth exposure of who the people are and who is excluded. It's incessant redefining of words, reclassifying people, and rebranding the elitist group over and over and over. We keep having to do this with him because he tries to say that words don't mean what they mean. He is associated with real world policies, though, and this work tells us what they're doing. He's talked at the UN. He's talked all these places, these summits. People are listening to him, okay? This tells us what they're doing. So you want a less esoteric version? Read Project 2025. That's the summary, okay? I'm immensely grateful to the person who gifted me this book, which is Adrian, by the way. We're uncovering so much, and I and others are learning things that we never knew that we didn't know. I mean, think about all the things we've been talking about. I just went off about Khazarians, right? But that's a side note. That was reading verse 1, by the way. Laffer curve religion. Yeah. Okay, so number 7. Here's me going off for 20 minutes about one verse. All right. So, under the guidance of the sons of light, the true Israel brought the scriptures of light to the community of Qumran. The true Israel brought the scriptures of light to the community of Alexandria. The true Israel brought the scriptures of light to the Kakla basin of Tibet. The true Israel brought the scriptures of light to the community of Nag Hammadi. And the true Israel brought the scriptures of light to the Great Salt Lake. The Mormons, right there. Yeah, because all knowledge had to come from them. These people couldn't figure anything out on their own. This is colonizer, supremacist mindset. That's all it is. The Library of Alexandria in Egypt, yep, that's us. The Dead Sea Scrolls, us too. Gnostics, guess what they know? Everything we taught them, right? The Mormons, yeah, we taught them everything too, because we know everything, right? And the Dogons in Mali didn't know shit about Sirius B until somehow the Great White Hope showed up and taught them everything they know, right? Even though they've known it for 6,000 years. He brings up the Taklamakan Basin, which might have been an error on his part, honestly, because it definitely solidifies everything I've been saying here. The Taklamakan Desert in the Tarim Basin is a very deadly desert, okay? The name means, what Taklamakan means, you go in and you don't come out. That's what the name means. You go in, you don't come out, right? It is deadly. It sits at a crossroads of an ancient trade, a spiritual exchange, and a historical revisionism, where Tibetan, Indo-Iranian, and Sumerian influences met. Do you get in where it's from? He says the Brotherhood of Light brought the scriptures of light there. What's he talking about? The Tarim mummies are there. They're dated anywhere from 1800 BCE to 200 CE. Nobody knows about the mummies. They were tall. Okay, these mummies with reddish blonde hair, elongated skulls, and they came from the extreme cold of Siberia. Sounds Neanderthal, doesn't it? One guess who the Brotherhood of Light is. He's telling you himself. It's the Neanderthals. Now, Adrian says, I gave the book to the person that would be patient enough to make good use of it for the rest of us. Thank you. So now Hertak says this basin is in Tibet. It's not in Tibet, but it borders Tibet. Where it is the Silk Road. That's where it is. And if you do any studying about the Khazarians, you will understand why that is important. Okay. So, number 25. In the larger coordination of spiritual teachings, those orders under the direction of the orders of the Elohim are, e.g., the order of Michael, the order of Enoch, the order of Melchizedek, the order of Gabriel, the order of John, etc., 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 each having their own hierarchy, which administers to the selective ministries of both the B'nai Or and the Great White Brotherhood. These administration hierarchies form a unity of commands that work with both the angelic and Adamic brotherhoods on the highest levels of spiritual leadership. Parenthetically, included in these Lord administrators are Heru-Ur, Teoti, Amentai, Enoch, and one who initiates into light. Looks like a title, etc. That was a lot, right? No matter who you are or what you believe, it's them, right? That's why we have Ta, we have Hindi, we have Jew, and we're just saying, well, that it's part of an office. It's just an office and you belong to the office. So no matter who you are or what you believe, it's always them. It's his hierarchy. And they just plug you into their system at whatever level they want to plug you into. Interesting, huh? All right. Number 42. Know then that the Brotherhood of Light has been appointed to speak unto you concerning these matters of consciousness liberation. They're in charge. and they view themselves that way. So hush up, sit down, and get plugged in. Number 43. For now is the very time to offer up our souls unto the altars of consciousness transfiguration. Resistance is futile. That's what I hear when I read that, right? So, number 45. Therefore, O brethren of light, do listen to this entreaty and understand that we have the day of resurrection at hand, and that we must all be prepared to enter into the arms of our brothers when they descend in flames and in great rushings of glory to collect us. There's the Zionism. There it is, right there. The dispensationalism, the apocalyptic prophecy, right? There it is. It's right there. That's what he's doing. So Zionism, hell religions in general, as well as politics, uses the oldest control tactic in the book. You are special and other people are not. All the isms are based on this. We're special, we're chosen, we're better because someone who wants to stay in control told us so. So we will fight for them to the end of time because we're special, right? God, whoever and whatever that may be, would not logically pick sides. I say this all the time. God is not a Dallas Cowboys fan. If there's any logic in the world, God does not give a hoot about football. Okay? He's not making sure that, the Panthers win. Okay? If he is, he's making sure the actual animals, the Panthers, win. So whoever and whatever God is, right, would not logically pick sides of its own creation. God is not playing favorites for a chosen people. That is illogical. God is not making your football team win. That is illogical. And God has not appointed a U.S. president to save you. That is illogical. Adrian says, what year was Hertalk doing his thing? I believe this book was written in 1973. Like it's old. I mean, not that old, but I believe. I'm taking it apart here so I can get to the copyright. First copyright was in 1977. So he's made updates since then. So there's been more copyrights, but the original writing was 1977. Oh no, Armando says the Great White Brotherhood is the way. I'm being influenced. Don't go into the light, Armando. Right. So God didn't pick the president. God isn't making your football team win. God doesn't have chosen people. But you know what? Tyrants pick sides. Dictators define the sides. This is the imperative to be aware of, right? Because the powers that be have been colonizing spirituality for a very, very long time, couple thousand years, right? This is why it's called a great awakening, because we wake up to the fact that we've all been duped. And that's what we're doing here. All right. Thank you guys for listening tonight. This is especially because I kind of went off about the true Israel. The next keys is going to be about Metatron. And spoiler alert, it is not Transformers. So we'll talk about Metatron next week on Wednesday. This coming Sunday, though, is going to be an amazing show. It's about Bill Cooper, who was around in the 80s and 90s, and the New World Order. So he wrote a book called Behold a Pale Horse that was actually referenced in some rap songs. So we're going to be talking about Bill Cooper because he may be somebody that you've heard of many times that you've actually never heard of. So that's what we're doing this Sunday. I hope you guys can be here this Sunday. If not, I will see you next Wednesday, and I'm going to show you a picture of my dog. Please like the video if you haven't already,
It really helps the algorithm to know what kind of things you like. Share where you think it's appropriate, especially to someone who you think needs to hear it. And don't forget to check out some of the wilder Pivot Point Wednesday shows. And last, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you want to break down complex concepts that make the esoteric not so teric, helping you on your journey to become your most authentic self. By subscribing, you'll join a community that thrives on curiosity and growth, and you'll never miss out on insights and some wild discussions. Let's uncover the universe together. Bye.